Welcome to Let's Face the Facts, the rewatch podcast for the classic sitcom, The Facts of Life. Join us each week as we synopsize, analyze, criticize, and ultimately idolize the show. And now, here's your host of Let's Face the Facts, the wonderful David Almeida.
Welcome back. It's another week, another show. Thank you for downloading and pressing play. Yay. I am already on the Zoom call with Matthew and our super amazing special guest, Sarah French.
She's here this whole time. Thank you for having me. Hi.
We are so thrilled to have you back. Matthew, at one point, we were like, well, who do we need to bring back for guests? We're in the final season now. We have only a finite number of episodes. There was a time it seemed infinite, but it's like, who do we want? And Matthew was like, who is that girl that I kept calling the wrong name?
Mm-hmm. Right on brand.
And I said, I know exactly who you mean, and I want her back too. That's Sarah.
I believe I said, who was that delightfully funny, hilarious, sweet, charming girl that I called by the wrong name?
Okay, I will give you that. Irregardless of what actually was said, we are thrilled to have you back, Sarah, and we are thrilled to have you as part of this gem of an episode.
My goodness.
So
yes. Many layers.
Mm-hmm. It's quite an onion, ain't it?
It is.
I loved this episode.
Honestly, I did too. And let's get to it. Season 9, episode 5, called Sweet Charity.
The minute you walked in the joint.
Which had an original air date of November 7th, 1987. Have you ever done Sweet Charity, Sarah? Were you in the chorus?
I have. That's true. I was a hot box girl.
Did you do the one at the JCC?
No, I was at the Ice House.
Ooh, okay.
Mount Dora.
You were a hot box girl.
Yeah, and I was who's the Italian guy that Charity's trying to hook up with, and then he's with his girlfriend. It made a big impact on me. Yeah. But I played the girlfriend who he stays with.
Oh, okay. I thought you would play the Italian guy. And
no.
I thought, well, that's a stretch. Good for Ice House.
Exactly. They took some risks.
Wow. The episode was written by Phil Doran and Douglas Arango, who are writing partners. Both of them came on board as supervising producers last season, and they will continue on through the end of the series. And as writers, this is the 4th episode of 5 that they have written for the show. Previously, they wrote The Little Chill, where the girls from season 1 all came back, and we were reminded why they were cut from the show after the first season. There was Where's Papa, a wonderful episode where Blair has to deal with a scandal with her dad and some insider trading and all that. And Mr. Dorn and Mr. Arango also wrote one of our mostest favoritist of episodes called 62 Pickup, which was a flashback episode to when their house was a boarding house in 1962 for young bohemian artists, including Fabian and Bobby Rydell.
Oh my.
Mm-hmm. It's literally, it is wackadoodle batshit, and it's one of our favorites. It is so awesome.
It's a really good premise.
Who hasn't lived in a house that was once a 1962 bohemian hipster?
Yeah. With some poetry, some beat poetry, and
yes,
get some special guest stars. And
yes.
But David, you forgot they mistakenly thought that they were living in that house. Turns out at the end of the episode, spoiler alert, it's the house next door. How sweet of them.
Oh,
what? What a wacky denouement.
Life before Google Maps, kids.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, my God. And the episode was directed by John Boab, who is the in-house director. He's directed most of them and will direct most of them through the end of the series. And yeah, Sarah French, this is the time
Yes.
during the show when we like to put our guest on the spot.
Okay.
And ask you to provide a 1 to 2 sentence TV guide synopsis of the entire episode. And again, I warn you, if it is too long, Matthew will judge you.
That seems fair. Great.
Go.
Okay. On this very special episode of Facts of Life, we explore themes of privacy, consent, class, and sweet charity.
Booyah!
I think that might be the most perfect one in all 9 seasons, Cheryl. I loved it.
Thank you. It's Sarah.
It was amazing. That, wow. Because that, much like a lot of the writing in this episode, it covered a lot of ground and yet it said absolutely nothing.
Yeah, no real point of view, but boy, a lot of questions.
And yet it was poetical, it was dramatical, it was comical. I mean, wow.
Yeah.
This is why we have you back, dear. All right. Anything to add to that, Matthew?
No, I honestly, I can't. So
Okay.
Brava.
All right.
Thank you.
When I even love the fact that it was so short and succinct, and you still got in this very special episode. that made my heart happy.
It feels like they're covering big themes in this our last season. They got a lot. They're going out hard.
And the funny thing is, I'm not sure I saw any of that, of the grandiose intent in some of this, but we'll get there. We'll get there. All right. Rather than go through microscopically from minute 1 to minute 30, let's start throwing some stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks. What do you want to talk about, kids?
Oof.
Allow me to bring this up, David, because Sharon's not going to know this because you weren't listening. You probably didn't listen to last week's episode where we were all very concerned about Andy calling a girl. Force him onto that phone.
Debbie.
Make him call this girl. Well, last week it was Patty. And they were forcing him. And they were like, get up there, grow a pair, asshole. You're 14. Go call that girl. And this episode, suddenly we don't want him talking to girls.
He went too far.
He went too far.
Yeah, it's like, well, we didn't mean like talk to them and date them and do
like
stuff with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Mackenzie Aston wasn't at the table. And again, they're filmed out of order. So I don't know if it was the last week that they filmed that episode. I don't think it was.
It was not. No, this is a few weeks later, like 2 or 3.
Okay, so nobody like Mackenzie wasn't at the writer's table being like, last week they didn't want me talking to girls at all. Or last week they were, oh my God. Girl drinks a root beer right before I come on a podcast. Call back to the El DeBarge episode. But here's the thing. Like, no, it just fascinated me how far they went, like from them forcing him to talk to a woman, him being scared, to like he's gonna go over and have sex with this girl.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's take this and run with it so we can deal with this. Is the B plot of the episode. We often do this. We're just like, let's just get this out of the fucking way, shall we? But yeah, Andy has this girl calling him and pursuing him quite vigorously. And then Beverly Ann discovers a note from the girl to Andy. It sounds pretty innocent. And she says she found it in his bureau drawer when she was putting away his underwear.
That's right.
Okay, so and she read it. So let's do a little ethics check. Do you think she should have read it, or do you think she should not have read it?
Here's where I land on this, because the moment like when Tootie mentioned it and he was like, she read it to you too, like my heart broke for him a little bit. Like, I thought that was a bridge too far. I think that, look, I don't have children, but if I were folding their underwear and happened upon a note, might I take a look? I would. But would I then run downstairs and read it to everybody else in the house? I don't think so.
That part.
Yeah.
That part.
Yep. That's what I was thinking too. It's when what did he say? What did she do? Call a press conference?
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, but the whole thing of Andy saying, you don't trust me, so I don't trust you because you read my thing. I'm not sure. Because I am what is called an elderly person. I'm really of the school of, you're a fucking kid. You're in my house. You have no powers here. You will have power someday. I can promise you that, but not now. What do you think, Matthew?
Well, David, once again, wrong again, David. Here's the thing. I think I can appreciate his response because he's 14.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't appreciate that response when Tootie, a 20-year-old, is like, all or nothing. I'm an actor, sir. I got a bad review and I'm not anymore. I've given up the business. So I can appreciate more from him because at 14, like, you don't want your mom reading the stuff you talk about with your school friends and all that stuff. You just
when
didn't
this
want that.
chick is trying to arrange a night you can come over and fuck her. I mean,
right.
Cringe.
You wouldn't want your mom reading that. But now, as an old person, I'm like, oh yeah, I would have read that.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm not saying he wanted her to read it. Absolutely not. No. The writing,
but his feeling of trust being taken away, like that. I mean, that's a
That rang true to me, right? Like,
sure.
Again, the rationale of a 14-year-old, like, right? Like, you don't trust me, so now I'm not, I don't trust you. Like that's I mean, I can understand how a kiddo would think that.
Yes.
Whether it holds water or it's going to be a rule of the house, that's a little trickier. I felt funny about Tootie's conversation with him about, like, when she was like, 2 words for you, grow up. I was like, hey.
Yeah,
like,
of all people to have that conversation.
No.
But yeah, and also it's like there was almost like a guilt trip on him. Like, she adopted you. Like,
right. Like, you can't get mad at her for anything. Yeah.
Like, David, as someone who, like Mackenzie Aston, was adopted by Beverly Ann, like that seemed like you don't. No, that's off the table now. She's my mom. Don't bring up the well, you should be grateful she adopted you. You had nobody, you loser.
Well, yeah, this was cut in syndication, Sarah, so this dialogue may not be familiar to you. But she does say to him something like, do you realize how lucky you are to have someone like Beverly Ann in your corner? The line is something to that effect. I didn't take it to mean, look, you little shit. She could have left you in the street, fucker. I didn't take it to be that harsh. I just thought it was one of those, like, Beverly Ann is a nice person to a fault. And she's, can you understand that she's a parent and she's worried about you? Dude, you're mad at her for being a mom. And honestly, it's like, this is part of having a mom, is she's going to worry about you.
Yeah.
And so I didn't take it that, I know Matthew often says, take a fucking seat, Tootie. And I didn't feel that completely.
I think, it's interesting, right? And if I were writing the episode, I think there was a little bit of reason sort of removed from the dialogue in that, right? Like, there's a big difference between, like, hey, this is your mom, she cares about you. Like, no one was saying explicitly, like, hey, it's kind of weird that you're 14 and this girl is inviting you over.
I have that
all
in my
by
notes.
yourself. Like, it's not like she's like, ooh, like, stay after and we can kiss for the first time, which would probably, then it would be like, okay, I think everybody's really blowing this out of proportion. But the adults being concerned about him makes that's actually really responsible. But I feel like no one was having the conversation. And then to also think, like, on the previous episode, he'd never called a girl before, and now all of a sudden it's like he's gonna spend the night with a girl. Like,
I have in my notes, like, they're missing the conversation that, Andy, you're 14.
Right. Yeah, we're worried about you. Not
and a prepubescent 14. Your
Yeah.
voice has not changed yet. You are
Yeah.
still tiny. You're still the size of a child. What
Mhm.
girl is trying to arrange an over? Apparently, this note got pretty explicit. They didn't go on with it. But whatever's in the note, it's like, dude, you want me to drive the two of you to the mall so you can walk around and hold hands? You want a little time alone in the living room with the TV and you can kiss a little? I'm totally do it. Absolutely.
Mhm.
But staying at 14, yeah, an overnight being planned. It's like, yeah,
It's like the writers were like, what happened to me this weekend? Right. And they just applied it to their 14-year-old character. Like, no, y'all.
so that brings up an important question I have to know. Sarah, we may need your input as a heterosexual.
Okay, let me try.
When Beverly Ann first comes in talking about this note, she says, and I'm quoting the episode now, "This is awful. You can't imagine what I found in Andy's bureau drawer." And Tootie goes, "Uh-oh." And Beverly Ann goes, "Not
Not
that."
that.
And then Natalie goes, "Not," and like deeper shock.
Yeah.
And Beverly Ann is like, "Not that either. I found this letter." I am not being ironic when I say I have no idea what
I
two things.
don't
I can think of one
either.
thing. I cannot think of two things that a
What's
young
your one thing? Drugs?
no Playboy
Oh, okay.
magazine.
Yeah. Okay. Got it.
And again, as a gay man, and again as adults, a bureau drawer. You know what? It does say bureau drawer. I'm thinking nightstand drawer. That's here be dragons. You don't go looking in there with what you're gonna find. That's where you do find
The lube and the poppers.
yeah,
Right.
and other things I
But-
have read about. But
there's your two things, David: porn and drugs.
oh, drugs. Oh, see, it didn't even occur
That's
to
what
me.
that was my first thought, was like, oh no. I don't know. But what was strange is that it felt, and maybe I'm misremembering, but it sort of felt like there was a laugh track on each, not that.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
yeah.
what are you all laughing at? What happened?
Yeah, just the fact that, we're bringing up subjects that are making everybody uncomfortable. Ha ha.
But I mean, like, okay, so a Playboy or porn, but then you also have a letter where a child is asking it. I mean, like, the implication here is stay the night, right? Not let's
Yeah.
just kiss a little. Is that like, I think I'd be more concerned about that than a porn magazine or something.
Exactly. I think this is way worse.
Like, what I would love to know, like, what was the end of that, both of those sentences?
Yeah, what
Like, for
the writers
writers,
were
like,
thinking.
what?
Maybe they
Yeah,
were
what
thinking
direction
pot.
did she get?
Maybe they were thinking,
Pot, right.
pot or booze or thing. It didn't even. It's so funny. She said the word is bureau, and I watched it and I heard the words in my ear holes, and yet where my brain went was nightstand. So
Yeah. Okay.
that is different, but still, I found under his bed. I found in the back of his closet. It didn't even occur to me because, again, he's not a rebellious kid. He's not he's a sweet kid. There's never been.
Well, and there's only so many things that could be found in a bureau drawer, right? That would be like a universal enough for a not that joke to play, that
Yeah.
it's baffling. They all seem to know what they were talking about. None of us did.
Yeah. 4 dildos and they all belong to you girls. What?
What? Not that.
No. But yeah.
Who owns the black one?
Yeah.
Ow.
I got drugs and porn because like drugs, no, not that. And then she goes, not? And then that was the porn. Like every 14-year-old has a girly magazine in their
Right,
thing.
right.
But
Okay.
David, did you get Beverly Ann being her most Beverly Ann at the beginning of the episode?
You mean serving the bread with all of the nutrients and grains and fiber and roughage and bullshit?
Even before that, when she's on the phone. When I was a girl did not call a boy in which she was interested.
Oh.
Okay. Got it.
Yes. Yeah. we talk about, Sarah, the fussy language of Beverly Ann.
Right. I imagine that that's just Cloris Leachman, that the script supervisor's like, actually, Cloris, the line is, and she's like, no.
Yeah.
In which a young lady telephones the establishment.
Matthew has speculated how many times were the words, how many Oscars do you have? Was said
God.
on the set.
I hope limitless.
Yeah. How many Oscars and multiple Emmys do you have on your shelf?
I'm just going through this script. No.
Yeah.
She held the record for the most Emmys, I believe, for a while.
Yeah.
So she has 8 Emmys, for Christ's sake.
That's right.
I think doesn't she still?
I don't know. She might, but
maybe, possibly.
I like the idea of her letting them know, though.
Yeah, the fussiness. And by the way, that line was cut from the syndicated version, so I don't think, Sarah, you got to see that. But when she was waiting for Andy to go pick up the extension, she says, in reference to this girl has been calling a lot. This girl wants Andy's little D.
Sure.
So freaking much.
Yeah.
She's been harassing him. And she's like, yeah, in my day, a girl didn't call. But the funny punchline of her going, yes, we had phones back then. It's like, ooh, I like this Debbie girl. She's sassy. She's a whore, but she's sassy.
She's a lot of fun. I mean, yeah, look, she's coming from a troubled home, it sounds like, but she's still a lot of fun.
I want to make this a 2-parter where I just want to keep talking about this. I don't even want to get to the actual A story. This is so much more interesting. Oh, bless. Oh, Lord.
You'll be happy to know I have very few notes about the actual episode because it was just a delight.
Because you liked it that much, did you?
Well, I stopped taking notes when Paul Provenza's bulge showed up on the screen, David.
Holy Merd. Oh, yes.
Lord have mercy. I spent the rest of the episode hoping to get a glimpse. Pausing and rewinding. And so,
the next time we talk to Diana Eden, the costumer, we're going to have to ask, so what was that about, huh? Did anybody, I mean, you know, granted, we're perverts and we're looking there. Did no one say, what is happening with that? Did you notice, Sarah?
Oh, I noticed. Yeah,
okay.
I did.
Just making sure.
I think that was intentional. It was a little something for all of us.
Oof.
I mean.
And I have to say, like, at the age when I watched this originally, I might not have found Paul Provenza to be very attractive at the time, but oof, girl, he could get it. Watching him now. Oh, I would have been following him around that community center like nobody's business. You want me to wash your car? Yes, sir.
Do your boots need to be spit shined?
Then I'm going to throw mud on it again so I can wash it again.
Well, let's get to it. Let's talk about Paul Provenza. Now, Sarah, we did not know this, and there really isn't any public record that I can find other than our friend Ken Reed, who is essentially a TV historian and has the TV Guidance Counselor podcast. But as a stand-up comic, he has met and knows Paul Provenza. Paul Provenza was the warm-up comic that would come out and get the audience all jazzed up before the tapings for several years before they went, we like him well enough. Let's give him a role.
Yeah.
Paul Provenza in this role as Casey Clark. He is about to turn 30 at the time of this taping. Later, he would go on to be on 26 episodes of Empty Nest as Patrick Arcola. I have no idea who that is. From 92 to 93, he was on 15 episodes of Northern Exposure. But primarily, first and foremost, he is a stand-up comic. And probably the greatest achievement as a stand-up comic is that he and Penn Jillette co-directed the 2005 film, The Aristocrats.
What?
And he's even credited as a sometimes cameraman. So they were just going around with, their little makeshift equipment and filming people talking about it. And I did check, Aristocrats is on Freevee right now. So it does have commercials, but I'm like, I think I want to throw that on at some point. Just have it going in the background. Very fun movie about the dirtiest joke in history. It's
so good.
Very fun. But I first was introduced to Paul Provenza back in 1991 when Comedy Central had just happened from the merger of the Comedy Channel and Ha. So Comedy Central was brand spanking new, and they were just trying to create content, and his bits were all over it in the little clip shows. And he also had a show of his own called Comics Only, where he was the host, and he was a delightful host. And it was a fun show, stand-up comic interviewing other comics. And but more than anything, impressive with, I think his performance is delightful. Little couple issues in the writing that dictated an attitude that I'm not sure I quite like.
Yeah.
But in general, he and his bulge, I think, are a nice addition to the show. And he's going to go on to be in, I think, 4 more episodes. And did you gather, Sarah, that this was going to be a possible love interest situation with Joe?
Oh, with Joe. Shoot. I was hoping for Blair.
Guess what? It does happen. He and Blair.
The sparks.
Yes. But they're barely on screen together.
It doesn't matter. It was electric.
Oh, okay.
I think it's like when she's like the window treatments. I don't know. Like, I mean, I know that's a classic Blairism, but I felt like they were playing house. I'm like,
wow.
It was tangible.
Okay.
That's just heterosexual, my expertise. So I'm glad it was valuable.
I looked at this as they're always at each other's throats and they're clashing. And I did like the fact that because Joe showed up at this shelter's door dressed for a job interview, that he immediately assumes her to be some materialistic young
affluent.
He calls her, what does he say? You want to make lunch reservations at Shea Yuppie, I think he says to her. And we all know, oh my God, you want to fucking insult Joe Polnicek.
Right.
You call her, a rich, career-minded, money focused person. That is the first and easiest way to piss her off.
Yep.
So I thought that was what that was going to be. And then they pulled a switcheroo later with Blair.
But isn't it? I felt like that was missed in this episode here. This episode had a chance to really play up that how much Joe has changed to the point where she's not even recognizable to what would have been, quote unquote, her people back in the Eastland days, the poor, the downtrodden, and
the
it was
unwashed masses. Yeah,
it was almost like Eliza Doolittle when she goes back to the Flower Girls and they don't recognize her. Like there could have been a little bit of like that conversation with Blair and that kind of character development. I would have liked to have seen her realize how much she's changed. But then the fact that Blair ends up with basically the male Joe Polnicek, let's be honest.
True.
So, I mean, of course they're gonna fall in love because he's Joe with a dick.
Yeah.
And quite one as well.
They made that quite clear.
Yeah. He fills out his jeans more than Joe does. Yeah. So let's talk about a couple other actors in this while we've just been talking about Paul Provenza. I do want to point out the young boy, Todd, who is there kind of cleaning up the 12-year-old. And it's interesting because Joe gets after Casey for making him clean up and wash his car and stuff like that. And she's like, "What the fuck are you dictatorial asshole, making this kid do your bidding?" And he's like, yeah, he's a hoodlum. He's the one that dirtied the car. You don't know what you're talking about, which was nice to have Joe have to backpedal on that.
Right.
But Bumper Robinson is the name of the kid who plays Todd. He was born Larry C. Robinson, but apparently everybody calls him Bumper. He has 165 credits in a 39-year career. I was like, wait, what? He's not even 50 years old. here's the deal. He started as a child actor, but then he moved into doing voiceover work. So he does a ton of animated series and video games. And according to Wikipedia, he is known for his roles as Bumblebee, which is the title character of something called
Is that
Bumblebee.
the Transformers?
Probably.
Okay.
And Blitzwig on Transformers Animated. So I think those might be two characters on that. Falcon on Avengers Assemble. And in fact, he does the voice of the Falcon anywhere that Anthony Mackie is not in person playing the role. It's like any video game, any animated series. Bumper Robinson is the voice of the Falcon, and future Captain America, we think. And he also is the voice of Cyborg in Justice League Doom. So he is double dipping in both the DC and the Marvel universes. And incredible. Have a look at his IMDb. And I know people younger than me, probably y'all's age or even younger, will have a better connection to it because he has done so much and still is working. And who would think he started out here as just this sweet little kid. And the other person to talk about is the, how shall I say, the
property, the woman that, right? Yeah. The one that has all the property, right?
The woman dealing with mental illness, let's say, the role of Jackie. And it's just showing how Joe interacts well with the people, even when they're clearly not playing with a full deck. It's just kind of showing, oh, Joe's good at her job. And, but this actress is Elle Marie Wendell. And after this, she would go on to be Mrs. Dubček, the landlord, on 120 episodes of Third Rock from the Sun between 1996 and 2001. She is no longer with us. She passed away in 2018 at age 89.
She was great.
She was awesome.
Her line readings were fantastic.
The long and short of the episode is Joe is going to a job interview. And she takes Natalie's car, which we've not really discussed much before, but it's apparently a piece of shit. And so she takes it, the car breaks down, and I'm gathering we're still in Peekskill. I'm gathering she didn't get as far as she said she had to drive all the way into White Plains. White Plains, New York is like half an hour. It's like halfway between Peekskill and the city. But I gather that she didn't get that far and that we're still kind of local here. Did you gather that?
She was clearly, because she was going to have to, she had to walk to take the bus. When she made the decision to try to get to her interview, she still had quite a bit of traveling to do.
Yeah, so, there it is. She had to take the bus to the interview and because she got there too late, they had already hired someone else. But then she did talk about having to walk home.
Correct. Yeah.
So, So I gather that this place probably is in Peekskill or very nearby.
Yeah.
And she broke a heel, even though she was wearing flats.
Because we know Nancy McKeon would not wear anything but flats.
Does Natalie seem very unconcerned with getting her car back? Like if somebody came to you and was like, oh, your car broke down. It's now on the street in Peekskill. Right. And she's like, oh, okay. she just like, I'd be like, well, that would become a top priority of my day, would be getting my car back and taken care of. But I
feel like Joe comes in strong with like, here's my plan to go get it back. Blair's going to take me. I'm going to fix it. I'm going to bring it back.
Yeah, she does. Okay. It's like there's one line of it, but knowing Natalie and how they could have had Natalie
they could have
laid on
that
thicker.
A little bit, right? Yeah.
That would have been totally in character for her to be like, anyway. But no, I do agree. It's thankfully, like you said, she did have a plan. So Joe, when she is at the center trying to call the place to tell them she's going to be late for the initial interview, Paul Provenza is this asshole who's hogging the payphone. And so they already start having a little bit of fighting and sparring. And she's like, I'm going to report you to somebody. Who's in charge here? It's him. Wah, wah. So anyway, when she has to go back to the center with Blair, Blair being her transport for her to fix the car. She fixes the car, but she sends Blair home. And then this is where Joe has the interaction with Casey, where he says, so you're still looking for a job? Well, maybe you might want to do something that helps somebody, you know? And that's when she's like, ooh, I will kill you. But
I will say, I mean, like, I understand that she had a need to use the phone, but I mean, he was there first. Like, she was, I mean, in her place, she was a little entitled about the whole payphone situation, I think.
but there's
Like,
also
she didn't know he worked there. She didn't know he worked there. As far as she knew, he's just somebody at that center in line to use the phone. And she's like, me first. I have an interview.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And he's clearly got a situation going on. Like, she doesn't know anything about it. We don't know anything about it. But I mean, you're absolutely right, Chantel. He was at that phone first. And bitch, sorry, girl. It's gonna take as long as it's gonna take.
That's right.
It's like, had she been going into the bathroom and he was in there, girl, what do you want me to do? Pull it out with my hands? I didn't put myself on hold. Exactly. I don't know how long I'm gonna be.
Mm-hmm. And cut from syndication, Sarah, the version you saw, there was a little bit more there.
Okay.
He's like, do not put me on hold. And he gets somebody, yells at them, and he goes, and they hung up on me. And he hangs up the phone. At which point Joe's like, great, give me. And he's
okay,
like,
now my turn. Right. Mm-hmm.
No.
He's going to call back. Yeah.
Right. Did you see that?
That was in the episode I watched. Yeah, the version I watched.
Okay. I thought that was cut from syndication, but anyhow, what is definitely cut from syndication is he says, look, what I'm doing is important. I'm calling the mayor's office. You can wait to make your lunch reservations at Shea Yuppie. I think that was cut from syndication.
He makes some assumptions himself.
Yeah, exactly.
Was the scene cut? Because I watched this scene several times. We'll just call it the bulge scene. Sure. Was it cut from syndication? How much trouble Miss Martha Wash had closing the door behind them? Did y'all notice that?
Oh no, I didn't.
No, I didn't.
Wait, what?
Okay. This extra walks in and she has some severe trouble closing that door behind her.
Okay, wait a minute. We're gonna look at this together.
Oh
no. I didn't even notice that.
Bless her heart. Her heart probably started beating. She's like, "Oh shit, the door's closing.
I gotta get out of frame.
I'm gonna ruin the scene.
Okay.
Oh fuck. Oh fuck."
Oh my god.
No.
That poor actress.
Oh God.
You know how Nancy McKeon gets when she has to do 2 takes.
That's right. Oh, she hates it.
Why is Tootie wearing a Penn State jersey? Is that where Jeff goes? Now that he's a genius.
Yeah, now that he learned how to read miraculously, her boyfriend Jeff, who was illiterate when we first met him.
Yeah.
That sounds right.
It's not important, David. I just noticed she was wearing a Penn State jersey. Yeah. You know, one of the few times she's not lounging around. Everybody's not lounging around in a full business suit.
Right.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Full business suit and a hat. Often Sarah with a hat.
A lot of structure. Yeah. Lot of structure. Oh, God, the glamour.
Yeah, but let's talk a bit about the fashion and all that. Joe's hair just continues to grow. It is so gigantic.
Not a fair joke for her to say. It's only your hairspray allowance for a week. Who are you talking to?
Yeah,
mean, really? Where are you throwing stones from your Aquanet house?
It's true.
But Blair looks great in everything, every outfit. She just is so beautiful.
Yeah.
And she got my one out loud laugh the whole episode when Joe goes, "Who is this Santa Claus?" And Blair goes, "Oh." It was just the delivery, the entrance. It was perfect. I laughed out loud.
So good.
But so I have no other notes because it was the perfect episode, David.
It was so good.
Yeah. Okay. So after Joe accepts this job, in spite of the fact that Casey was kind of digging at her for being a little too materialistic and not wanting to help other people, then she comes to work after the commercial and is like, so it's Friday, where's my paycheck? And he's like, well, sorry, shit out of luck, bye.
Ooh,
And he does say, I'm sorry, I can't pay you. But there should have been a much more contrite continuation of attitude. He seems to recover from the fact that he is literally not paying an employee. He seems to recover very, very quickly from that and not give a shit. And if I were Joe, I would have kicked him in his bulge. But what are your thoughts on that whole situation?
I mean, it was though, like, you're exactly right. His sort of business as usual attitude about it, right? Like, he knew 2 days before, Wednesday, Thursday, our funding, like that, to be able to say, like, hey, I'm worried, that on Friday I'm not going to be able to pay you. They could have had the exact same story where she's still going out and trying to figure out how to fund this without him being just like a kind of almost like a that's what you get. Like, you shouldn't be doing this for the money kind of attitude about it, right? Like, I don't know. It was, I found myself thinking, like, he shouldn't be running this place.
Yeah. I felt like they could have given us a little bit more pathos for that character if he seemed very upset, like genuinely upset. I can't pay you. This is what it's like.
Yeah,
we rely on I haven't slept for 2 days, Joe.
Right.
Because we're gonna lose this. So yeah, I'm sorry I can't pay you, but I just got to keep plowing on,
Right.
And like that would have made us love him a little bit more.
Yeah, I agree.
And it's Thursday. I'm warning you that at this point, the bottom has fallen out, and I had thought we were okay. And I can tell you right now, I'm not going to make the payroll tomorrow. And that's part of all the things that are upsetting to me. Fuck to the yes. We absolutely needed that for this character, for us to really feel like he's walking his talk from an emotional place.
Right. Yeah.
So
I think that's gonna go in our our what do they call it? Like the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air has the new serious version called Bel-Air. We're gonna have Eastland.
Yes.
Or we're gonna have Peekskill or something.
Yeah, it should be Peekskill, yeah.
where Mrs. Garrett is running a drug front out of Edna's Edibles. And where we can get a little more in-depth characterization out of Paul Provenza and his layers, because that's not something we're really gonna say 80s sitcoms was their forte, getting into layers of characters. They were kind of all archetypes, so he's this archetype.
Yeah. And to add insult to injury, when Joe was like, well, if you're not gonna pay me, I'm fucking out of here, which she is 100% justified. And his response is, yeah, go ahead, go home, get a cushy job, and soon you'll forget that you ever did anything that really mattered.
Well, what has she done that's mattered, David?
It's a good question. It's like, well, she's worked at this place for a week. That mattered apparently to him.
Taking a little bumper to the museum.
Yeah, thank God. But thank God Joe has the retort where she's like, come on, Todd, let's go to the museum. And he's like, you're still taking me? And she says, of course. And looking right back at Paul, glaring daggers. When I make a promise, I'm good for it. Oh,
yeah, Joe. But your promise is to take a kid to the museum. It's not to house and clothe.
Not run an entire nonprofit.
So, I mean, take a seat, Joe, for a second.
As Tootie would say, grow up.
Yeah.
Get off your high horse, Missy. Miss Yuppie. And so no, David, no, you don't give Joe a pass for that.
I give her a pass for that because it's like you could have warned me yesterday. You could have warned me Wednesday that the funds were running a little bit low.
You could have said, would you like to volunteer while you look for a job? I don't really have the funds to pay an employee right now.
Yeah, clearly, because I have a 12-year-old kid doing everything.
Right. A lot of options to be transparent. Yeah.
Anyway.
How about, have we talked about Joe and Blair's conversation where Blair is like, you need people with money to go do good things?
Let's go there, because that is actually what is next in the A story.
Yes.
We do have a little interruption of the Andy story's progression, beginning with him sitting on the couch pouting. pouting
He thought he
like
was gonna have
an
sex.
adolescent who is ready for sex. Yeah, thank you. But yeah. So then when Joe comes back, she tells Blair what the situation is, and then to her credit, Joe's like, "Hey, maybe you could spot them. The $1,500. He says he needs $1,500 just to make rent." And that's where she gets the line, "That's your hairspray budget for a week." And yeah, continue, Sarah. You brought this up. I'm curious. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, first of all, I need y'all's help. How rich is Blair?
Girl,
Very. Okay.
that is a question for the ages.
Okay.
Because Blair is a member of the Young Millionaires Club, Matthew, when she was at college. She was in the Millionaires Club. Her family has bought buildings and built theaters for both Eastland and Langley College. At one point, there was something that was going to cost them like $1,000 or $1,500 a piece. And Blair was like, "Will you take cash?" and starts reaching for her purse.
Great.
And yet, at the beginning of the Edna's Edible season, when Mrs. Garrett was like, "Oh, I need help, and you girls can live with me," and Blair got kicked out of the dorm, and it's like, why didn't Blair just buy a fucking
an apartment,
house
right? Exactly.
that they all could live in? And after Edna's Edibles burnt down, Blair was like, "Well, I'm going to go off and stay at the Four Seasons. Peace out, bitches."
That's right.
It's
because she knows real estate and she's not going to spend her, but she wants to make good investments. And
So Blair, what she does with her money, and we know there is a lot of it.
$1,500 for a monthly hair allowance.
Yeah. Okay.
Just hairspray.
So to answer your question, long story short, too late.
Plenty. She's got plenty of money.
Blair has a fuck ton of money.
Okay.
If not hers, available to her.
Okay.
Yeah.
It seemed, Joe was so uncomfortable asking for $10, and it seemed like she was a little more at ease asking for $1,500.
Yeah.
So I guess it's all relative. It's not for her at that point.
And it is interesting that she brings up the whole thing about, actually volunteering at the center is different than writing a check. That's the easy thing to do. And that's kind of like, it's a cop out. And Blair beautifully says, "I will have you know, I attended 5 different fundraising galas last month alone. And I wore a different gown to each of them." Which
honestly is a gift, frankly, because she looks great in everything.
Goddamn right. Yes.
Yeah.
She's not doing that for her. She's doing that for all of us.
I've got to credit the writing of this, where she says, I thought I wrote it down, where she says,
"Yeah, it's that lesson, right?"
Joe, remember, without people like me, people like you can't help people like them. I think it comes up with like, you're so high and mighty, you can't do anything for people like them. And Blair is like, girl, don't forget, rich people do fund a lot of this shit. It's like, this is not a black and white scenario. There's a lot of gray coming into play here. And then when basically in the Joe and Blair fashion, where she's like, "So are you asking me for a favor to write this $1,500 check?" And Joe's like, Nope, I'm too proud. I'm from the street and you're rich. And bleh.
I hate money.
I hate money. So Blair leaves the room. And then Andy does a quick pass through, because the culmination of this thing is that Andy and Beverly Ann forgive each other. And then she says, "Now let's have a talk about the birds and the bees and the Debbies," as she puts it. It's like, so, but if he doesn't know, what did he think was going to happen? Was he like, I thought we were going to watch the National Geographic channel. And
right. Why?
Well, again, David, you've talked before about the dog chasing the truck.
Yeah.
Once he catches it, what's he going to do with it? He don't know.
Yeah, true. For how horny a child Andy is.
He was just so happy to be invited.
Yeah. I know the feeling.
So Blair goes upstairs, and when she comes back down, Joe is like, "Okay, this is stupid. Yes, you've got the money. We need it. I am asking you for this favor." And Blair hands her a check.
Yeah.
And Jo looks at it and she says, "You've already filled it out." Meaning Blair had already made up her mind that she was going to do this without Jo asking her. And I was like, oh.
It was really nice.
And that's when Jo says officially, "Thank you." And Blair says,
I'm so gracious.
that's a very Matthew line.
Damn it.
As well as a very Blair line. Yeah. Yep. It's true. Oh, we have to stop. Pause here. Pause one moment. This week and last week, twice now, we have seen Jo come down the stairs or go up the stairs and go into the wrong bedroom.
Oh, no.
That landing, that first landing before the stairs turn completely, parallel to the audience, that bedroom to the left, that is Mrs. Garrett's / Beverly Ann's bedroom. The girls, all four of them, even with Tootie and Natalie having made a separate little bedroom within the bedroom, the upstairs, all the way to the top, that is where the girls' bedroom is. And both last week and this week, Jo just comes, trot. It's like, what do? You take a nap on Beverly Ann's bed? What the fuck are you doing?
And that's the kind of shit. When you've got one director, those kinds of things shouldn't be happening.
John Boab.
Yeah, what are you doing?
I am wagging my finger at you. Wagging my finger. How dare you, sir?
How dare you?
Shanice, if these are the kind of details that don't make you want to go back and watch every episode. A lot has changed since you've been gone, my dear.
Oh, my goodness. So, yes, then we go back to the center where Blair gives Casey the check, and he's very casual about it. And she's like, hello, I just got you out of the hole that you said you were in. And he's like, what doesn't matter. Some big foundation made us a very generous donation, paid off our entire mortgage and then some. Some big foundation. We do know that there is the Warner Foundation. Blair has mentioned it multiple times, Sarah. And I believe it's the Warner Textile Foundation, and we have called it WTF.
Perfect.
So then Casey says, will you come back now that we know I can pay you? And she's like, yes. And they do have a little, apology accepted. Yeah, apology. Like neither of them apologizes, but the other one's is,
they're so shitty to each other. Why do they care so much about helping others? Like, what? Just.
But then when Jo says, "So who is this Santa Claus anyway?"
The best line of the episode. Blair coming down, ho, ho, ho. So good.
It's true. It's true. Blair says, I simply thought it over. And buying commercial property in depressed areas is a sound investment. That's all. And Joe's like, so it was a good business deal. And she's like, well, that and...
How could I pass up the chance to be your boss?
Oh,
come on. And I would watch a spinoff about Blair as Joe's boss.
As a slumlord who bosses Joe around. Yes.
This is the backdoor pilot that, in my opinion, had the most legs.
I would give it to you. Absolutely.
And that is even knowing the backdoor pilot that is coming up with the apartment in New York.
Yeah.
With John
Natalie.
Stamos and everybody.
Matthew, you've been saying that we need to count every single episode of season 9 as a potential backdoor pilot. Fuck, if this isn't one, I don't know what is.
Yeah.
And I love it too. It's great. The chance, like the Bob Newhart show was fun because you had that never-ending revolving door of crazy people coming in. That's what the said. And there's nothing more fun to make fun of than homeless people and the mentally ill.
Than the marginalized, right? Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
You can go for decades on that.
I mean, I laugh at them out on the street in my everyday life already so much. It'd be great to see them on my TV and not have to smell them.
Oh, gosh.
I laugh at people in wheelchairs because they say laughter is the best medicine.
That's nice.
I'm
That's
very
nice.
gracious.
You are so gracious.
Okay. So that other backdoor pilot, Sarah, that we talked about, it was called Big Apple Blues, which sounds like a good funky title for a possible other show. So we can't call a show Sweet Charity. That's the name of a great Bob Fosse Broadway musical.
It's already been taken. Yeah.
So what do you think would be a good title for the spin-off series that we are imagining that this could be? And I think we need to do this every week. What is the spin-off? What is the title of the spin-off
What's the
series?
title of the spinoff? Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the name of what's their town name?
Hudson Valley.
Hudson Valley. Okay.
Hudson, this is the Hudson Valley Community Shelter.
It's something like Down and Out in Hudson Valley or something like that. I don't know.
Oh, okay. That could work.
Mhm.
Since even though he calls it the community center, it does say community shelter on the door. I did just verify that. So I'm thinking a great title for this would be Gimme Shelter.
Gimme Shelter.
Yeah.
Any thoughts, Matthew? What would you call the
Matthew?
spin-off series?
Well, I don't know if like a pun about homelessness is a great sitcom title.
It's tough. It's a tough sell.
Comedy gold in my book, but
Nothing funnier than this show about homelessness. It's Gimme Shelter. Come on. That's like calling a Helen Keller TV show The Blind Leading the Blind. Like hear no evil, see no evil, for God's sake.
Okay, so then what would you call this episode?
I have no problem with calling it Sweet Charity.
You think so?
No, I had no problem with that.
But will Bob Fosse's people, will they get shut down?
Fuck Bob Fosse.
You're going to get a trademark lawsuit.
Well, they put out a hit on them and they'll come around and try to jazz hand them to death.
Jazz hand you.
Yeah, I don't know. Call it Blair and Joe for all I care.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's another whole sitcom, Fosse Hitmen. There's a whole other show going on right there, but yeah, we're thinking, is there like, Three's Company became Three's a Crowd?
Yeah, I was
Sort
trying
of
to think of like a play on Facts of Life, like the Community of Life or something like that. Something, but like that doesn't sound right either. I wouldn't buy a show called The Community of Life.
Yeah. the shelter of life, the
There
community.
you go with your homeless puns again.
Center.
You,
well, no, I'm just saying
you won't let shelter go, David. You
I
really want
won't.
them to
Well, 'cause
remember that they're in
it
trouble.
takes place in a shelter. It's a workplace comedy, for fuck's sake.
Face it. Look in the mirror.
Okay, let's work with center then. It's a community center. We're gonna call this
Shanique will remember. He thought that Joe was correct in demanding Paul Provenza get off the
point.
phone.
Good
So
point. Yeah.
he
There's some elitist that
Yeah.
David's working through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
he
Well,
works there. He can make that call any fucking time.
He
the
can't because he
cis-
doesn't have a phone because they can't pay their bills.
Yeah, the cisgender white male in the
Yeah,
room.
this guy
has-
over here, Mr.
damn.
Entitlement.
Take a
Yeah.
seat. I know. Maybe off center.
Off center. I like that.
Yeah.
Yep. I love it.
I'm thinking, okay, then I'll take back, since I'm currently going to get canceled if I put the word shelter in my title. That's
It's
my
very
proposed.
gleeful. You're very gleeful about their hard times.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, it's comedy gold. Never not
Yeah.
funny. Yeah. All right, childrens. Well, we are at the end of the episode. Anything else we want to comment on?
What'd you think, Sophie?
Oh, I liked it. I think there were some missed opportunities for character development. And some, just like we talked about, right? Like and again, I actually think there's something interesting about like our our shelter leader, the head of the shelter not being just a completely good-hearted, you can't see that kind of hurt and not also kind of be like, this is how life is. And so it makes sense to have that little guy be a little rough and tumble, but maybe not corrupt and dishonest. I think they would have bridged too far on that one.
Man. But
That's fair. I give this episode for season 9, 10 out of 10.
What?
I thought
Perfect.
it
You
was
loved it.
I loved it. I loved meeting the new characters. I love this story arc. I think it's a great story arc. But we are 5 episodes in and we have yet to see over our heads the business that they all own.
who is minding the store when Joe comes home and tells Blair and Natalie about her travels and travails of getting back from this job interview that didn't happen? Natalie walks in with a book and a fucking soda. And then, while the 4 of them are sitting around lounging in the middle of a work day, because Joe wouldn't have had a job interview on a weekend, in comes Beverly Ann with the shit about the Know with Andy. It's like, who is watching the store?
But they're all wearing their business suits, so it's appropriate that it's the middle of the week, just sitting around and planning. I know, Susan, that you sit around your house in your high heels, your earrings, your bra, your full outfit, pantyhose, and everything.
Hat.
Well, of course. Yeah, everything.
Just,
Yeah.
when you're going to be comfy.
It's true. It's just that's what makes me comfortable. It's just looking my best. So
Thank you, Susan.
Well, Sarah, this has been a joy. This is a three-peat for you, right? This is your third
it
time.
is. This is my 3rd time.
Yes. Well, I cannot wait to see you again in person. We have actually seen each other in person a couple of
Very
times.
recently. Yeah.
Since the pandemic, which is completely over right now.
Yeah, all finished.
So that has been lovely to see you, but I love seeing you on my Zoom screen. I'll take you any way I can get you because I adore you, darling. Thank you.
Thanks, y'all. This was so fun. Matthew, just real quick, what's my name?
Oh, Lord. Have I been calling you the wrong? Stacy!
That's it. That's the one.
Why did I get the wrong notes?
Stacy, his assistant.
Oh my goodness. I'm so sorry. I'm very self-absorbed.
Oh. But he is so gracious.
So gracious.
And you're such a delight. I'm addicted to your giggle. You've got such a great voice. You've got such a great.
Thanks.
You're just such a goddamn delight.
Oh, y'all, this is such a goddamn delight. Thank y'all for having me.
So, Sarah, if you'll bear with us, we are going to talk us out of this episode. Next week, we're going to be watching season 9, episode 6, called Up From Down Under. And you can watch the episode ahead of time, as always, at dailymotion.com. The link to that episode is in the show notes and on this episode's webpage. And with that, we leave you. We say thank you for listening to this week's show. And remember,
the facts of life are all about Paul Provenza's bulge.
Yes.
That's right. That's right.
Damn.
Let's Face the Facts was created, produced, written, hosted, and edited by the wonderful David Almeida. Our theme song was beautifully arranged and recorded by Ned Wilkinson. Please visit FaceTheFactsPod.com for supplemental photos and videos, links to social media, and ways that you can support the show. And don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review. This is Matthew Arder saying tune in again next week for another thrilling episode of Let's Face the Facts.